Alright, so since you guys like the seitan so much at work, I'm going to show you guys how I make it. But you need a few things to start off with. So you need some Vital wheat gluten. This is the one that I usually got it at Safeway. You need a little molasses to make the broth with, and also some soy sauce to make the broth with as well. And then some spices. This one's different than what I was going to use what I used last time. But this time I'm going with Grill Mates Sweet and Smoky Steak Rub, and it should make it taste like a sweet and smoky. First thing you need is a mixing bowl and a measuring cup, right? So we're going to measure out 2 cups of this gluten. Alright. And we're going to add our spices to the gluten right now. You can add as much or as little as you want. I'm going to add a lot. I'm going to add, let's see. Maybe like 6 tablespoons. And you just get it distributed through the gluten. And then we're going to add 2 cups of water. Alright. And you just stir it up and it should pretty much turn into this Play-Doh-y looking stuff really quick. You can probably see it, right? At that point, I think I'm just going to use my hand from now on. So this is pretty much what you end up with. This is your uncooked seitan. It's that easy to get started, right? So we're going to knead that around, make sure everything's nice and mixed up. Okay. And I'm kind of squeezing out a little water, which is a good thing. You don't want it to be too wet when you're finished with this part. Just getting rid of some of the extra water that dripped off here. Anyway, once it's like this, some people like to rinse it a little bit in some cold water just to get rid of some of the extra starch that might be in there. So you just get a little cold water running like that, stretch it out a little, and just run it under the cold water. Don't worry, it's not going to dissolve like you would think it would. Just gets a little wet. There's not much starch in this stuff already. Just squeezing out some of the water, the excess water from the dough. Okay, so that step's pretty much done. We're gonna leave it here on our cutting board until just let it kind of settle down and dry out a little bit while we get the broth ready. Gotta get a nice big pot, something that can hold about maybe 8 to 10 cups of water. And this broth is gonna be 6 cups of water. Alright, 6 cups of water. We're going to throw in a few tablespoons of molasses to add some sweetness to the broth. And a little, thickness. A little soy sauce. A few tablespoons. Alright, and a healthy dose of whatever seasonings you decide to use with your seitan dough. Just add it until it looks like a good amount. Use your own judgment on this one. Alright, and then you want to bring this to a boil. We're going to go ahead and start breaking the seitan up into little bits. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my lump in half here. Alright, some people like to use knives, some people tear it up. I personally like the way it ends up when you actually tear it up by hand. It makes it look a little bit more like little clumps of meat as an end result. And depending on how you want it to come out at the end, you can make it like larger clumps or smaller clumps. Smaller clumps end up being a little tougher, a little chewier, maybe more meat-like. Or bigger clumps seem to come out a little bit spongier. So just I like them about this size. Most of these smaller ones will end up being something the size of like carne asada, chopped up like steak or something like that. But the bigger ones will end up being like a small kebab, like steak cube size. And you can use them however you want at the end. Right, pot's starting to heat up a little bit. We're going to go ahead and take what we got over to the boiling water, and we're just going to drop those in. Now once they hit the boiling water, you don't have to worry so much about them sticking together like they are doing on the cutting board. So you just want to get them all in there. Careful, it's hot. Alright. Now remember that this is just half of it, so I'm going to go ahead and do a quick job of the other half of that dough ball that I made earlier. I'm going to make some larger clumps. Right. Now that all the dough is in the boiling broth, you just want to keep an eye on it, but you're going to boil it for about an hour. most of the broth is going to boil away, and then we'll move on to the next step.
Go.
Alright, so they've been boiling for a while, and they've absorbed some of the broth, and a lot of it's boiled away. You can see it. They're like puffy and swollen. Sorry about the steam. Right? So now we're gonna go ahead and take them off heat, and we're gonna start the next stage. Now, at this point, you can do a lot of different things. Some people like to saute them, or just deep fry them or something. If they're big enough, you can skewer them and just throw them on a barbecue and grill them on a barbecue or something like that. But I'm gonna saute them. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use a regular pan to saute. I'm gonna use olive oil, even more of this seasoning, and then I think I'm gonna add a little garlic powder to it too. We added a little olive oil. Make sure the pan is coated. Add a little of your garlic powder. That's good. I'm going to go ahead and add some of your seasoning. Once you got a good amount of seasoning in your pan, go ahead and just stir them around in the oil, make sure they get nice and coated with it. And then we're going to add a little bit more of our steak rub. So I just finished cooking the last bit of the seitan, see? And just gonna go ahead and let it kind of set here for a minute. And this is pretty much what you end up with. There you go. It's about that easy.